What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for All Out. Overall, this was a fantastic show. Now, let's address the elephant in the room and get this over. First and foremost, let's talk about All In, because I didn't get the chance to review it for you guys, and I didn't even make a community points about it either, just because I honestly just didn't have the time to. Overall, that show was fucking amazing, man. I loved it. The match between Samoa Joe and CM Punk was amazing. MJF and Adam Cole, spectacular. Most of the matches on the card were amazing, man, and it was just a great show. You know, the UK crowd was amazing. I mean, just a phenomenal show, man, and, you know, I'm excited to see what they have in store for us next year with because they announced they're going to do another All In at Wembley. Oh yeah, Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho, arguably match of the night, honestly, bro. It was either that or Adam Cole and MJF, man. They were just both such good matches, man. Oh man, Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho was a good time, and that was an amazing match. But yeah, so the show was phenomenal, man. There's my little mini review of All In for you guys. Now let's talk about Punk. So as you guys know, it was announced yesterday, I think it was. Might have been earlier today, before the show began, or maybe even earlier than that. I don't remember the exact time. Punk was fired from AEW, which we all know what happened. There was an incident between him and Jungle Boy, mind you. It is kind of weird, you know, that Punk's getting kind of shit for this because, you know, for all intents and purposes, this was not Punk's fault. Like, Punk didn't really do much wrong. You know, mine was minding his own damn business, but Jungle Boy wanted to smoke, I guess. I don't know. Sure, you know, now there's been other stuff where Tony has come out and said that he was scared for his life. There's some people saying that, like, Cody, like, that Punk lunged at him. I don't know what's true, what's not. You know, I wasn't there, man. We don't got the footage on the security camera. I doubt we will ever get to see that footage. So, who knows what really went down in there? But it is kind of weird how Jungle Boy seems to have gotten off scot-free. You know, no one has really been focusing on Jungle Boy. Everyone's just been focusing on Punk when, like, Punk didn't do anything wrong. Man was behind his own damn business. You know, but, like, it is what it is, man, you know, and this seems like it's for the best. You know, first off, it's good on Tony Khan, man, because it's a good, big decision for him to make, and, you know, it's good to see him taking way more, being the boss of AEW, because that's been one thing a lot of people have had a problem with AEW. It's been Tony Khan isn't really much of a boss, and like, he doesn't take charge as much as he should have, and lay down the law as much as he should. Like, say what you will about Vince, creatively, that man gets shit done, and he is the boss. Like, that man, if shit goes down, Vince takes care of it, bro. That's the one thing that Vince has over TK. I think we can all agree on that front. So, you know, it sucks. I'm kind of scared what's going to happen with this merch with AEW because I still haven't gotten his shirt yet, and I want to get his shirt. But hopefully, you know, I checked the AEW shop. It's still there. He still has a listing and everything. So, you know, hopefully he'll stay there for a while. So, enough time for me to grab some of his merch, man, before, you know, I mean, to be fair, I think they're pretty sure they're still selling Cody's merch, too, so, you know, they might keep selling it, man, or at least for the time being. Who knows? But, yeah, that's my thoughts on, you know, how Punk. And then there was also the whole thing where it seems like Punk wanted to leave anyway, given what happened. And, you know, you had the thing with AEW, just like leaving him high and dry in the UK and having him to find his own way to his hotel and the arena, which is pretty bizarre. Then apparently there was going to be a meeting between him and the Elite to settle the beef fully, but then the Bucks apparently canceled on him last minute, apparently, if I remember the story correctly. So, you know, the whole situation is weird. It's probably for the best that Punk got fired and he left. Now, everybody and their mothers would say, oh, he's coming back to WWE, he's coming back to WWE, which I am not personally going to completely eliminate that possibility. Crazier shit has happened in the world of pro wrestling, man. I mean, I never thought we'd ever see Punk in a wrestling ring again, and then he came back in AEW, and it was amazing, bro. You guys know me, I'm a big Punk fan, so, you know, even though his run probably wasn't as good as we were hoping for, or as great as it could be, I mean, there's still so many matches we didn't get to see. D. Bryan, Kenny Omega, you know, the storyline with MJF is still unresolved, and there's a lot of stuff left on the table, man. And of course, you know, Andrade posted a tweet about them not getting the chance to go at it, man, which would have probably also been a great match in its own right, man. So, you know, there's a lot left on the table. So, I'm not going to personally eliminate that possibility from the WWE, but I'm not holding my breath for it. I'm not expecting him to show up at Survivor Series or at the Rumble next year, man. But who knows? It's possible it could happen. But, like, the real question is, would Punk even go back? Would his pride allow him to go back to WWE after everything that happened between them the last time? You know, and then there was also there was a report out there apparently it like earlier today or whatever, that apparently there was beef between him and William Regal, where if dude shake his hand and called him a Triple H stooge, which I think that shows that Punk probably still has some beef with Triple H from what happened. Who could knows? Could some of it, some of his rage and beef with him subsided since 2011, probably. But seems like there's still some lingering animosity between there, man. Then again, Punk was at a WWE show backstage a couple months ago, so shit changes, bro. That was last year, so who knows? It could happen, but I'm not holding my breath personally for it. But if he does show up at Survivor Series, bro, I'm going to lose my goddamn shit. That's what I'll tell you guys right now. I'm going to lose my shit if we see CM Punk at Survivor Series or at the Rumble, man. And if he comes back to WWE, man, there are so many great matches that we can have with him. Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, a lot of great matches in there with WWE that you could have with a lot of the WWE guys over there. Sami Zayn is another one. Kevin Owens, a lot of big names in there, man. But Roman Reigns, probably not that one, but that one would be interesting to see that one for the Undisputed title. But yeah, man, that's my overall opinions and thoughts on Punk, All Out, All In, and everything, just so I can get that out for you guys, man. But it's a shitty situation. It sucks overall, man. I wish Punk, their cool heads could prevail. Punk could have stayed with the company, and we could have seen what was going to happen with all that, man. But it is what it is. Hopefully, I would love for him to come back to WWE. That would be great, man, because I love Punk, and he clearly still can clearly still go. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. If WWE even wants him, or if Punk would even resign, if his pride would even allow him to. We'll have to wait and see all that. Anyway, guys, let's get into the actual show. So first off, we started the show off with Adam Cole and MJF versus going up against the Dark Order. This was a fantastic match, although that's mostly just from the overall just entertainment value this match brought, just from MJF and Adam Cole's antics and their what's going on with their reign and their just this whole program they have together, more so than the actual quality of the match. Because the match itself was a fine enough match. It was a good match, but obviously Adam Cole and MJF and what they were doing definitely enhanced the match a lot, including the crowd as well, which might as well mention this here, man. Their match at All Out, man, or All In London, man, was fantastic, man. Jesus H. Christ, man. What a match. What an absolute match that was. That was probably my match of the night for me personally. It's definitely it's definitely going to be up there on my for a match of the year candidate, and which I don't do top 10 matches, but if I was, that one would probably be up there, probably even make the top 5, man. That was such a good match, man, and Roddy coming in there screaming at Adam to use the belt and everything, and then making up and everything, bro. Just what a match that was at All In, man. And Adam Cole kind of reverting back to NXT. Adam Cole for majority of the match against MJF, excuse me. Just a phenomenal match, just all around, man. So anyway, we start the match off with John Silver and Adam Cole going out. They would go have their little exchange before Adam Cole would look over at MJF. They'd point at each other, shouting, "Double clothesline!" And they go for the double clothesline, which you actually had Nigel on commentary mentioning it about they were telegraphing the move. So the other member of the Dark Order that was there with John Silver, I forget the dude's name there, while Evil Uno was on the outside, managed to get John Silver out of the ring. Eventually, MJF tags in. He then starts asking for a chant of sportsmanship. So of course, the crowd starts chanting sportsmanship. He offers his hand to this guy, and he does. But of course, like always, MJF goes for the thumb to the eye, man, before he puts his hands up in the air with this massive shit-eating grin on his face, bro. And then as the match continued on, he starts strutting like Ric Flair, and then goes for the kangaroo kick, which I fucking love the kangaroo kick, man. Just, oh my god, I love this. This whole team that they've been going on with Adam Cole and MJF, it was amazing. Bro, we've already knew that this was going to be a pro just from the outset, just given how amazing of just not only wrestlers, but just promos both MJF and Adam Cole are just on the mic, man. So we knew this was going to be gold regardless. But bro, they have exceeded our expectations and made this probably one of the best probably the best storyline currently going on in wrestling besides the Bloodline. And I would argue the Bloodline is still a little bit more interesting and engaging for me personally, and that's probably my favorite storyline in wrestling currently that I'm enjoying. But this is a close set, if not tied, with the Bloodline, man, if you ask me, man. This whole thing with these two has just been absolutely incredible. So anyway, As the match would progress onward, MJF's neck would start giving him some shit, and he throws out to the outside. Adam Cole goes to check on him. Evil Uno distract him. Which also, by the way, what has happened to the Dark Order, man? Like, has this been a thing on Dynamite, or has this been something that's been going on for like Collision and for Rampage? Because I don't watch Rampage at all. Collision, it depends on what the card is. Although I haven't watched Collision in probably like a good months, for a while now, but like it seemed like the Dark Order, and they did mention this on commentary. I believe it was Nigel, if not Nigel, it was Excalibur mentioning. Which also, I also one thing I thought was interesting about the show is how many times they like switch commentators. They kind of like had a revolving door commentators. Like the show started off with Kevin Kelly, Excalibur, and Nigel, if I remember correctly. Then JR got involved, and then I believe it was Tony Schiavone and Taz got switched in there for like the last half of the show, if I remember correctly. But it's interesting. That's interesting. They kind of have a revolving door, man. Like Kevin Kelly sounded great as always. Nigel, he's great, man. Although I gotta say, man, as great as hearing Nigel again on commentary, bro, it just ain't the same without Moro, man. Like Nigel is an amazing commentator on his own, bro, but like, when you pair him with Moro, bro, that just takes him to that next level as a commentator, bro. Like, I feel like he's not as good as a commentator when he's not paired with Moro, man. Like, Moro really elevate him, and the same goes for Nigel, man. They, like, elevate each other and just compliment each other so beautifully, man. That feels wrong when you hear one without the other, man, but it is what it is, man. I do hope we do see Moro return to wrestling in a more permanent capacity, whether it's with WWE or AEW, bro. I don't give a damn if he goes to fucking Impact. Like, just give me Moro, man. He was such an amazing commentator, bro. I wish he would come back to wrestling, man. But it is what it is. I know. Who knows? Maybe one day Triple H can get him back in there for the main roster, because that would be so awesome, bro. I would lose my goddamn mind if we ever got to see Moro return for commentary, bro, as the lead commentator, bro. Who knows? Maybe when Michael Cole eventually retires, then they'll bring in Moro to fill in for him, bro. But we'll have to wait and see how that. Anyway, so as Evil is distracting the referee, the other guy from the Dark Order goes in there and hits MJF with the bat, and basically stabs him with the chair on the back of the neck, the injured part of his neck. By this point, you have the medical personnel looking over at MJF. They start to take him to the back, and now Adam Cole's all by himself. Also, I gotta say, I really dug the shirts they were wearing tonight. They were rocking. I think it was like a Better Than You Baby shirt once again, but it was in the Bulls color, and even the back of it had a 23 on it, which I thought was not checked. I did check. No, you can't get this off AEW shop, because of course you can't, because we don't sell the cool shit, apparently, or maybe they actually were selling the shirt actually live with the show, man. I don't know, or I just couldn't find this shirt. But I looked up at MJF's page, looked at Adam Cole's page, didn't see it there, so I don't know if they're just not selling it or not. Anyway, the match continues on. By this point, the Dark Order is completely on the offensive against Adam Cole, though Adam Cole would get some pretty sick-looking super kicks on the members of the Dark Order, man. They looked really clean, man. So eventually, as the match progresses on, Adam Cole would eventually go for Panama Sunrise, but doesn't quite hit it. Instead, turns it into a roll-up pinning combination for a near fall. Eventually, as the match would progress onward, MJF would eventually make his return, rushing over to the ring while still holding his neck, starts stomping on the steps like a freaking madman. Before he gets tagged in there, he starts going up. You get the kangaroo kick. He puts John Silver in one corner, the other guy in the other corner. He starts hitting John Silver's head against the turnbuckle multiple times before he jumps over to the other guy, starts punching him a bunch before he bites him, and then of course we end the match. Or after he hits the kangaroo kick, he starts waving. He starts moving the top rope all over the place like he's a fucking Ultimate Warrior or Montez, before eventually tagging Adam Cole and they hit the double clothesline for the win as they retain the ROH Tag Team Championships. And then right afterwards, Samoa Joe comes in there and just shoves MJF to the side as he makes his way to the ring with this massive shitty groomsman. I'm looking at it right now, bro, and Joe, you gotta love Samoa Joe, guys. Fun fact, and also, first of all, I saw this a little after the show, man, but MJF actually sent out this amazing tweet that had me laughing my ass off. when I saw it, where he tweeted out, "I'm not the kid you shoved in Brooklyn, motherfucker." Game on. What you guys don't know, at an NXT Takeover, I'm assuming it was at Takeover Brooklyn, back during Samoa Joe's first run with NXT, when he was the NXT champion, when he was making his entrance, he had like security guards around him, like Goldberg, and one of the guards was MJF, and he shoves him to the wall. What the little call back to NXT? I don't know if that was done purposely or not, or just MJF, or if, Samoa decided to do that spontaneously or not. I assumed it was planned, given, the last time somebody got shoved in AEW. I'm a Miss Punk. Anyway, so eventually MJF not wanting to take this disrespect, Adam Cole tries to say, "Hey bro, it's cool. I swear to God, bro, was this meant to be like a live action reenactment of what went down between Jungle Boy and Punk?" I am genuinely asking this, if this was meant to be like sort of a reenactment to show us what really went down, at the backstage of All In. Either way, he marches to the ring to go against against Samoa Joe. Of course, Samoa Joe makes quick work of him, locks him in the guillotine before other guards, security guards, everyone managed to separate them and get them outside the ring, man. This was fun, man. This was fun. The match was amazing, bro. And this little segment with MJF and Samoa Joe was a lot of fun to watch. So next up was Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor. Now, as you guys know, I don't watch ROH, so this was the first time I've ever seen Shane Taylor. And gotta say, dude's big, and man, this man got some insane power behind it, because eventually, the match starts off with Joe going on the offensive, but very quickly Shane Taylor shows off his size and power by just shoulder tackling into Samoa Joe, sending him right on his ass, bro. And that wouldn't be the only time they would go in the corner. He would throw him in the corner, start hitting him with some jabs in the corner. Joe would manage to get out there with some chops, goes to run throws again, but then gets clotheslined right down for before he rolls out to the outside, in which seeing Samoa Joe get knocked on his ass and rolls out to the outside, man, was quite the shocking sight, man, I have to say. So as the match would progress onward, they would start fighting outside at ringside before going back inside the ring. Shane Taylor would then hit like a cross body or a splash off the second rope, which is pretty shocking to see. They would eventually lead to the outside. Samoa Joe would hit his suicide dive, which I've mentioned countless times, bro. You could not pay me to take that move, bro. That shit would honestly probably fucking kill me, man. And then we actually got this really unique move that felt pretty cool, where Samoa Joe locked in a sleeper hold when he was on the apron, while Shane Taylor was inside the ring. So he picks him up, or drags him over where he's draping over the top rope, like Randy Orton does with his DDTs. But instead of going for a DDT, he just goes for a standing stunner that looked really cool, man. That looked really cool. Eventually, Joe would lock in the Karafuda clutch to eventually win the match by tap out. Great match, man. This is a fun match to enjoy, man. You guys went to Samoa Joe, and yeah, this was just an overall great match, and it was just a very enjoyable match to watch. So next up was Darby Allin versus Luchasaurus for the TNT Championship. This was a fantastic match, man. But I have to say, before we go any further, does Darby, and I mean this with all sincerity, and I am 100% serious, does Darby Allin have a death wish? Bro, some of the spots in this match were pretty batshit insane, bro. Where I'm how are you, why? I know Darby's whole thing is being a daredevil and all that shit, kind of being this generation's Jeff Hardy. Maybe not as insane as Jeff, because Jeff Hardy hasn't been doing swantons off scaffoldings and into other shit like Jeff did back in his day, man. But still, does this man have a death wish or something? Because some of these spots were just insane, bro. So we start up inside the ring. Darby goes on the offensive, but obviously given Luchasaurus side, doesn't really do much before they eventually go on to the outside, and he just yeets him into the barricade. He then picks up the steel steps, sets him up vertically, and then just slams him, or just drops him, puts him up on his shoulder, then just drops him on head first onto the steel steps. Before then, by this point, Darby starts bleeding, and bro was kind of bleeding for a couple parts of the match, because you could actually see little pools of blood on the ground and as well on the mat. If you were paying attention, you could see that. But then after it bounces him off the stage. This man slams, or rather, delicately places the steel steps onto Darby Allin's back. For obvious reasons, you know, he ain't trying to paralyze the kid. You know, so no, there's no way he was just gonna like slam it right down because God knows what kind of damage that would do to him. But even still, even though he even though Luchasaurus definitely was like delicately placing the steel steps on them, bro, like I feel this man still could have broken his spine in half, bro, because then this man starts walking up the steps, putting all of his weight onto Darby Allin's back, bro, and I'm just like, oh God, bro, I was cringing, no lie. And while all this is going on, you got Christian telling him to like maim him. He didn't like. I think as he was going up the steps, man, like you had like Christian like on his stomach talking shit to Darby before Nick comes in there and like gets my way. Which I also gotta say, bro, yo, Christian, bro. This man, I would dare say he is at the peak of his career right now with this heel gimmick he's got going on. Because, like, we all know how good Christian is. We all know he's a main event guy. He's proven it many times over. And we all know how great his heel work was with Randy Orton back in 2011. But, dude, I dare say he's at the, like I mentioned before, I dare say he's at his peak right now with this new heel gimmick he's got going on. Where the dude, all he does is just burying fathers, bro. Like, you had the thing with Jungle Boy, and now he's doing it with Nick and his father, bro. And I saw the clip from Collision, like I think it was like yesterday, it might have been like right before the show, like a couple hours before the show started, where he was like, oh, I never mentioned your mom, and like, you go, wanted to slide her DMs, bro, like, Chris, like, bro, imagine if Edge and Christian became a tag team again when Edge was at the peak of his career with the Raid argument from like 2005 to like, let's say 07, 08, and Christian was doing the gimmick he had right now, bro. Imagine these two were a tag team, bro. Like, Edge would be stealing your girl, and then you would have Christian burying your father while he's fucking your girl, bro. Like, imagine these two as a tag team, bro. I feel like they would have just. I feel like Raw would have been taken off the air if these two were together at these two different points of their careers, bro. Just as saying, like, this man truly did learn from the best in Edge, bro, because obviously because we all know how close Edge and Christian. You know the man's taking cues from Edge from his Radar days, man. You just know he's taking cues from it, dude, while doing his own spin on it, bro. And it's just like it's been working great for him. So at this point, Luchasaurus is just beating the shit out of Luchasaurus, man. Like, man goes for like a crossbody off the top rope and just bounces off his chest, man. That looks pretty nasty. Eventually, then rips the tape off of him before it throws him out to the outside. Darby would eventually get a steel chair out there and have Luchasaurus sit on it before he does like a swanton off onto him that looked pretty nice. Luchasaurus would lift up Darby, and then Darby would counter into a crucifix bomb that looked clean as hell. And then for a split second, I legit thought Darby was dead. Where Luchasaurus throws him in a German suplex, and Darby lands right on his head, like right directly on his head, bro. Literally, I cringed and had to, and like probably looked away a little bit for a second, bro. That spot looked absolutely nasty. So then he gets him up on his shoulder and starts like, I forget what this move's called, backbreaker or whatever it is. I forget exactly what it's called. And while Luchasaurus is doing that, just like moving his back on Darby's back on his shoulder over and over again to like inflict more damage to his injured back. Christian starts going over to Nick Young and starts like dangling a white towel from him, telling him, "Hey, throw in the towel for Darby." And then of course you got Nigel on commentary like, "Oh, what a great man! He's looking out for Darby." And then Darby hits him with a suicide dive for his troubles, and then you had Nigel say, he's a father on commentary, bro. That was pretty funny. Darby would then eventually hit an avalanche code red that looked pretty clean as well. Then he would go up to the top rope for his coffin drop. By this point, Christian has put Nick Young in a concerto, and he's like threatening him with it, so he has to figure out what to do next. He ends up. It looks like he was probably gonna go for Christian, but Luchasaurus stopped before he could do anything. Then Luchasaurus hits a couple tombstone pile drivers on him before hitting a clothesline to eventually win the match. After the match, Christian would go in there, grab the steel chairs, go and put Darby in for a concerto, making Nick Young watch, but then eventually Sean Spears and some other randos from backstage comes out there to save the day, and as Christian runs like a scalded dog, as JR would always say, man. But yeah, this is a fantastic match, man. The blood was a nice touch, man. Also, but like, Jesus Christ, bro, Darby, that man is next level. The spots he takes, man, like, god damn, bro. These spots, because like I said before, there were some really nasty spots in this match. Next up was Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs. This was a great match, man. This was a really fun match, made amazing by the crowd, man. Like, the crowd made this match with all their meat chants. Meat, meat, meat. After, like, almost every move because, you know, it's two big-ass, muscular men going at it, bro. And the crowd, man, like I said, those meat chants were fucking hilarious, bro. Especially when Lana came in there, bro. Oh my god, they were wild when she came out, bro, let me tell you. But yeah, man, this was a great match, man. So we started off the match with these two locking in the collar elbow tie up. These guys going over the turnbuckles and everything before Powerhouse Hobbs just yeets them to the ground before Miro would reciprocate. And from there, they just keep hitting each other with these massive hits, these powerful hits before eventually Miro would they would have like a clotheslining off with the crowd chanting meat after every attack, where he'd be like, oh, as like charging up, and then meat, and then they would go back and forth for this for a while, and then eventually Miro would hit the 10 beats of the Ballerin shout out to Sheamus, but instead of them counting, they just chanted meat, 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 meat after every chop. And then eventually Miro goes for a super kick, and they continue on, and then of course he eventually locks in the Colossus, which Powerhouse Hobbs has managed to break through there, and then Powerhouse would try to lock Miro into the Colossus, but he would manage to get out quickly. They would also have this one part of the match I thought was pretty cool, where they were just kind of like bouncing each other off from the ropes. They would, like, one of them would run the ropes, and the other guy would catch up to them and clothesline him. Then the other guy, when he went to run the ropes, excuse me, can't speak today. Then the other one would go in there and get him with the clothes. They did that for a little bit. That was pretty cool, man. But eventually Miro would lock in the Colossus to eventually finally win the match from tap out on Powerhouse Hobbs. And then at the end, of course, they would have a little handshake thing, you know, respect, before Powerhouse would continue to beat on Miro. And then Lana shows up, finally making her AEW debut. And they called her hot and flexible. I'm sure she is. So yeah, Lana finally shows up, man. I also didn't think we were ever going to see Lana in AEW, so it's a pleasant surprise to see that she did finally make her AEW debut here tonight. So she came rushing down the ring, grabbed a steel chair. I'm like, well, what the fuck you going to do against Powerhouse Hobbs with a steel chair? She hits him with, of course, does next to nothing to him. Then, of course, he grabs, then she goes for it. But, like, to be fair, to get Proslan, bro, she wanted the smoke. She was like, come on, come on. So, you know, Proslan, man, she clearly wanted the smoke. I got to give her that, man. She got balls. So, anyway, she goes for a second chair. So, of course, Powerhouse easily grabs the chair and rips it away from her and throws it down to the ground. He kind of like moves in, starts closing in on Lana before Miro would start beating the shit out of him with the steel chair. He then interestingly, this is the problem that one part I'm most interested, but also kind of confused by. I'm like, why the fuck is this? What the fuck is this all about? Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll get more about this on Dynamite. But he kind of looks at her like, who the fuck is this? Kind of looks at her like he doesn't know who she is. Just like, what the fuck is this? And then kind of goes out. But then as he's going up the ramp, you can hear him say, "You're not real. You're not real." I'm like, bro, what do you think? You're on drugs or something? Like, what's going on, bro? Why does this man not recognize his own wife or something? Like, what's going on with Miro, man? But yeah, hopefully we'll get some explanation about that on Dynamite, what all of that was about. Unless there's something I'm missing from, like, Rampage or something. I don't fucking know. So if you guys know more, please leave it down in the comments if you guys know what's up with what was up with Rusev there. But yeah, overall, man, this is a great match, man. This is a really entertaining match made amazing by the crowd, man, with their freaking meat. It's like I said before, and I forgot to mention this, but when Lana came out, they straight up started chanting, "Piece of meat! Piece of meat!" And meat forever instead of fight forever. Seriously, bro, you thought the crowd was just nothing but clones of Chie with how much they were chanting about meat. Then next up, we had the TBS women's match between Chris Stanley and Ruby Soho. This was a great match, man. And yeah, let's just jump right in. So we started off with Ruby going after Chris and like knocking her down the floor, but Chris would keep doing like kicking out over and over again before the match would finally get really rolling. As the match would progress onward, they would go on to the outside, and this was pretty funny. Paige in this entire match, she was funny, man. Like, she was pretty entertaining with like her screaming, and then like later on the match, she would eventually like apparently grabbed a sign from a fan and ripped it up. That was pretty funny, but right here, she acts when they get to the outside after like she's like screaming at like Chris. Chris Taylor literally starts chasing after Paige, and the entire time Paige is like screaming like, "Oh God, Ruby, Ruby!" Literally screaming out Ruby's name, running like a scolded dog, as JR would say, man. And eventually, Ruby would get in there and hit like I think she hit like a cannonball on from the apron to the outside on Chris Taylor. It looked pretty good. As the match would progress onward, man, Chris would have Ruby would hit her low Hurricane Rana. That was a quick near fall. Eventually, she would hit. I believe what was the move called? That like reverse Sister Abigail. She was like No World Order or Destination Unknown, something like that. That was another near fall, and she's like running over to the ref, and like Paige is like screaming at her. She tries to reconcile with her and like get her refocused. And then while all this is happening, she goes and grabs the green spray paint that she brought with her. That was by one of the turnbuckles. And while this is all happening, Toni Storm kind of sneaks out from under the ring and manages to grab it out of Ruby's hands before. And Ruby's looking at her like, what the fuck is going on? Then Chris would capitalize on this, hitting Sunday Night Fever for the win. Now, this kind of surprised me the ending because unless there was something I missed when I was watching Dynamite, I believe it was whatever the week was, right after All In, she made it seem like she still wanted to be with the Outsiders, and was just like an honest mistake what happened with Paige and her mom, bro. Yo, bro, that Paige spot with her mom, bro, was ingenious, man. But I will say, man, Hikaru was done dirty in that match, man. Like, as happy as I am that Paige is champion again, you guys know how much I love Paige from her days in WWE. You guys know she's one of my all-time favorite female wrestlers. I love Paige. But like, if you were just gonna put the belt on her anyway, what the fuck was the point of putting the belt on Hikaru? Like, I was excited when Hikaru went. I was like, yes, Hikaru is champion. Let's go. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with her now in a second reign now that she's like, champion outside of the pandemic. And they're like, nope, just give it to Paige. Like, if you were going to, especially with everything they already did, they were going to do with Toni and Paige in that match, why not just keep the belt on Toni Storm? I feel like it would have been a much bigger moment and kind of would add more to the storyline if she took the belt off of Toni rather than Hikaru. Just seemed weird and pointless to me. No lie, I feel like they kind of did her dirty with that one, but it is what it is. I am curious to see what they're going to do with her and the belt. Anyway, so, but with this one, it seems like she's now gone babyface, and she's now going to be like distancing herself from the Outsiders and just doing her own thing, it looks like. I'm not entirely sure. That's how it looked to me, man. Also, I love the fact that Toni was still rocking like her Madonna outfit. How her like a Madonna fit going on with her hair and like this silk red this little silk red like a robe she's wearing, bro. No lie, bro. I'd be lying. I said she didn't look bad as hell. I'm not gonna front with you. Toni looked bad as hell, bro. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, kind of funny that she's still rocking that fit. But yeah, this was a great match, man. Chris retains the title. Then we had Bryan, which as you guys versus Ricky Stark, which as you guys know, this match was originally going to be CM Punk versus Ricky Stark for the Real World Championship, but obviously, Punk got fired, so they switched it out with Bryan. Now, first and foremost, I have to mention, they actually brought back the Final Countdown as his entrance theme, which shocked me because I thought that, like, I'm pretty sure Tony mentioned that, like, the rights to get this song was as much as a contract, and that apparently was, like, a one-and-done thing for Finn Door. So I don't know if that was, if I'm misremembering that, or maybe decided to do this song again because Bryan was making his return to AEW, or if this is now just going to be his new theme for AEW. I don't know, but either way, man, it was good to hear the final countdown and everything. Everyone screaming, it's the final countdown. When it gets to that part of the song, man, a banger song, no lie, man, just a banger song. Anyway, we get to the start of the match, and of course, Ricky, he don't want the smoke no more. Ricky at first does a quick jog on the outside of the ring before he finally gets back in there. Then cheap shots Bryan, and then we're finally off. They get the strap in there. Ricky starts becoming the offense, so he's like whipping Bryan with with the weight belt he got in there, wraps around his hands where the buckle is, where his like fists and knuckles are, hits D. Bryan in the face with it. He starts bleeding, and bro, D. Bryan was like bleeding throughout a good chunk of this match. You can see like little bits of pools of blood as match going. You see a lot of blood. D. Bryan was like, the man was bleeding a lot low key during this match. As match progresses on, then of course he starts whipping him with the actual like belts, with the actual like the strap itself with D. Bryan, and then eventually D. Bryan would get back in there. He would start mounting some offense before eventually getting Ricky Starks to the back inside on the top rope, where he then starts whipping him like a slave, which is there's your obligatory slavery joke for this strap match. He starts whipping at him with him before he eventually brings him like where he's like now in the tree of woe. It continues whipping on him, bringing in like doing like those running drop kicks he does, those shotgun drop kicks he does, usually in the corner. He starts doing them to them. Eventually they get them down there, and then they just start whipping each other with the strap. Before they start the strap over, they like start whipping each other in the face with the freaking strap. And bro, the sounds they were giving up, they were putting their fucking backs into these moves. Eventually Ricky starts to mount some more when he gets D. Bryan to his knee and just continues just like whipping at him some more. But then D. Bryan would just start no-selling it, bro, and oh my god, this match so fun. He starts doing the yes kicks and everything, but eventually Big Cass would get involved. But Ricky Steamboat would try to stop him. D. Bryan would hit him with a suicide dive before he does, or rather, he like threw Ricky onto them to break him up, and then jumped in like a crossbody off the top rope to both of them before getting him back inside the ring. The match would progress onward. Also, you also Ricky like choking D. Bryan with the strap. As the match progressed on, D. Bryan would say, "It's time to kick his fucking head in." No bleeps and nothing, bro. You heard every word of what D. Bryan was saying, which was a nice touch. Before he just starts kicking the shit out of him, before locking him into the label lock, then starts strangling him with the strap into the label lock, and Ricky Starks man just passes out, bro. This was each the best match on the card, an easy 5-star match. We get the announcement of a new AEW show called Wrestle Dream on October 1st. Probably won't be reviewing it. Depends on how I feel about the show. As you guys know, this is gonna be the last All Out review I'm gonna be doing, because after WrestleMania next year, I'm gonna be stopping doing wrestling reviews, man. Just not really enjoying it as much, and just the time it takes me to do this and everything. It's just not working anymore. But yeah, so I might review it, I might not, depending on how I feel about it. I'll at least try to see if I can get like a post on my community. I'll make a community post off the show of what my thoughts are if push comes to shove and I don't end up reviewing. But either way, man, easy 5-star match, man. This is the match of the night, man. Obviously, right below that would be Orange Cassidy and John Moxley. I don't know why I was struggling to say that for so long. Then we had the tag match between Eddie Kingston and Katsuyori Shibata versus Cesaro and Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm gonna be real, I did not watch this match. This was my bathroom break match, but you know, the crowd seemed to like it, man. The match was entertaining for the little bits I saw. Anyway, Cesaro would win the match with a European uppercut, which was pretty surprising to see on Eddie Kingston to win the match. That was a solid match as well, man. But like I said, I was barely paying attention to it because, like I said, that was my bathroom break match. Then we had Takeshita versus Kenny Omega. This was a phenomenal match. This was probably my third favorite match on the card, man. Just Kenny Omega's great. You know, Takeshita, he's great. He was great in this match as well, man. Just a phenomenal match. So we started the match off. First of all, Kenny came out in gear very reminiscent of the gear he used to wear during his days in DDT. I believe the original Japanese promotion he worked in before he moved over to New Japan. And they started the match off with like slow, them feeling each other out before the match would progress onward. Kenny would lock in like a knee bar type submission onto Takeshita before he kind of like rolls up to where he's like on top of Takeshita on a knee, looking at him, telling him to get up there, and they just start slapping each other and having like a slap off. Before eventually he would just start sending him a bunch of elbow strikes. As the match would progress onward, they would eventually go onto the outside. Takeshita would try to grab a chair and to use it on Kenny, but but the ref would stop him, tell him to get in the ring, no chair. And Don Callis used the opportunity to stack 5 chairs on top of Kenny's midsection, where then Takeshita would leap over the top rope into like a swanton onto Kenny Omega. That looked pretty nasty. There was also some pretty nasty. There was some pretty nasty spots as well, like one where he launched this back suplex onto Kenny, and Kenny landed right on his head. That looked really nasty, man. As the match progressed onward, they would eventually get back inside the ring, and then Takeshita would go for an avalanche blue thunder bomb that looked insane, man. That looked absolutely insane. Don Callis would eventually get a screwdriver trying to stab Kenny Omega with it, but Kenny would dodge out of there, and he would like literally stab the screwdriver all the way through to the mat. It went through the mat and was just stuck there, man. Like he put some power behind that stab, but Kenny was able to dodge it. They would progress onward. Takeshita would eventually be able to use the screwdriver onto Kenny to counter I believe he put him up for the one-winged angel. Then he would go for a roll-up pin, but that would end up getting another near fall. There was also this one move where he literally a German suplex, but instead of doing the usual one where you're like at your opposed midsection, just lifting him up, Kenny grabbed him from probably right at his waist when Kenny was on the ground and literally just deadlifts him all the way up over his back into a German suplex. That was just incredible to look at, man. Like, shout to Contest. That man is really the insane, because there was another German suplex or back suplex he also did that was equally as impressive, man. There was also one more a power bomb he did that he landed Kenny face first into the middle turnbuckle. His nose was hanging on, was stuck on the middle turnbuckle, just pulled up. I'm surprised he didn't break his nose with the way Kenny was looking in that moment. But eventually he would hit a couple of running knees, and eventually he was able to win the match. It kind of surprised me. I had a feeling that Kenny was probably going to win this match, but Takeshita went to winning in this, man. And yeah, this was just a fantastic match, man. I've been digging this storyline with Kenny and Don Callis. Curious to see where it's going to go next, man. And yeah, just a phenomenal match, man. Then we had Bullet Club Gold versus the Elite with FTR. This match, once again, was fine. I also really wasn't really paying attention that much. This match, this was my other bathroom break match. And yeah, it was fun for what it was, man. And yeah, don't got much to say on that other than that, man. The Bullet Club Gold won the match. A solid 6-man tag, man, but nothing crazy. Then we finally had the main event. Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy, bro. This was easily my second favorite match on the night, man. What a match this was. This was such a joy to watch. First of all, you could hear, as Mox made them, you could hear D. Bryan in the background screaming at Moxley, "You got this!" or whatever he was saying, which I thought was kind of funny. They get into the ring, Orange makes his entrance, and we start him as per usual. Orange putting his hands in his pocket, but he doesn't get to put his hands in his pocket because Moxley was already attacking him, and then Moxley starts hitting him throwing him into the corners, with his head into the turnbuckles, and just beating the shit out of him in the early parts of the match. And Orange is selling his fucking ass off, man, in the early portion of the match as it goes on with him because he was really selling these attacks that Mox was giving him. He would also then start doing those kicks that D. Bryan always does, where he grabs the opponent's wrist and just starts beating the shit out of them with kicks. He does it twice. So shout out to D. Bryan. They eventually make it to the outside, and then at some point Orange starts bleeding. I don't really know where it was he got bleeding, but by this part of the match he was already bleeding, and he was bleeding throughout a good portion of the match from here on out. He then gets him on top of the announce table and starts biting him and everything, which eventually they get back into the ring. Orange barely makes the 10 count. They continue on, and Mox, of course, doing his thing with scratching at him, just beating him, really focusing on the injured wound. And like I said, Orange is bleeding. Orange starts to give him out some little offense. Mox would eventually put his hands in his pocket before they start going at it for a while. Eventually, then you have Orange kind of taking a page out of Jon Moxley's playbook, where they're both on the top rope, where it looks like Mox is gonna hit him with a suplex or something, but Orange managed to get out of it and then starts scratching at his back, man, which was pretty nice. They would continue onward. Mox would get in some pile drivers in here, which always look extremely nasty, man. Not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of the pile driver being used as a setup move. I feel like a move like the pile driver should be a match ender, not a setup move, but that's just of how nasty it looks, man. And we know this match that move can fuck you up if you don't do it properly. But that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, Mox would then start into Daniel Bryan for a quick second and lock in various types of submission holds. He first goes into a headlock, into a cross arm, into a sleeper hold, into a cross arm breaker, and then finally the label lock. But Orange would manage to get onto the outside, or rather get his feet onto onto the bottom rope to force the break. They eventually go onto the outside. Mox then starts like ripping off the protective pad off leaving the exposed concrete, a la Tommaso Ciampa. Orange would eventually manage to counter the move that Mox would go in there into a beach break. Mox would then go near to the steel steps, and Orange would hit him with a shotgun drop kick right onto his face into the steel steps. It looked pretty nasty. Then, by this point, I'm thinking there might be a count-out victory, because at this point, I'm thinking Orange is going to retain the title. And I'm thinking, like, Mox barely is moving here as the ref is counting, and then when he gets denied, Mox is suddenly, like, rejuvenated with life and makes it in for the 10 count, man. These two start going at it with some hellacious moves, and then I think this is an Orange would eventually get his, and I think this is also when he, like, hit that, like that spear, like the your tribal chief Roman Reigns, which was pretty fun to see. Anyway, then he finally gets his hands in his pocket, doing his kicks, and then eventually starts putting some like real power behind them, kicking the shit out of Jon Moxley, and then eventually, I believe this is when he hit Death Valley Driver or some other move where it looked like it was going to be the end of the match, but no, it was a near fall. He then does a quick prayer, looks over at Orange, and he gives him the double middle fingers before he hits another Death Valley Driver to finally win the match and become your new AEW International Champion. I was about to say All Atlantic Champion, but it's no longer called that, man. Which this shocked me, man, because I thought with this match, this was mostly meant just to like build up Orange more and build him up more as a babyface as well as a champion. Because I didn't think like, why would they give Mox the belt? Why would he need the belt? What would he even do with the belt? You know what I mean? I don't see him much as a guy that would go after like the mid-card championship of AEW, the Intercontinental Championship of AEW. Although I guess that might be the TNT Championship, but this one it kind of keeps with the whole international kind of thing that the Intercontinental Champion had. So I don't know if you would consider this one the North, the actual Intercontinental Championship of the WWE, and the TNT Championship would be the U.S. title. I don't know, wherever you guys fall on that one, but I didn't think they were going to win this match. Now, granted, I think this was more meant as like, and of course, right after the match, the entire crowd was giving Orange a standing ovation, and he had been champion for like well over 100 days with tons of defense. This is more like a celebration, him giving him his flowers and like letting him drive off into the sunset, so to speak, and go on a long vacation before he comes back to AEW for all the great work he's done with that championship. So I think that's more of the reason why they probably gave the belt to Mox, because they know he would be able to hold it down, and while Orange is enjoying his vacation, which I think at this point it's become abundantly clear that Mox is never getting that vacation, bro. That vacation was going to get it all out last year, man. I don't think it's happening anymore. I don't think Mox is ever getting that vacation. Which he desperately deserves, because he's definitely been holding this company on his back, man. But it is what it is. Mox, like always, man, he's old, reliable, man. He'll hold it down for you, man. But yeah, this is a phenomenal match, man. And yeah, like I said, Orange was bleeding throughout a good chunk of the match, man. Like there's like, you could see like all over, there's like blood splatters all over the mat, man. Like I said, the crowd gave him a standing ovation as he was leaving the ring, man. Just a phenomenal match, man. A phenomenal way to end the show, man. So yeah, that's my review of All Out for you guys. Overall, I'm going to give this show a 9 out of 10, guys. So as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my socials if you feel like it. Links down below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.